Hey, how's it going, everybody? Joshua Christensen here. Listen, I am so excited. This is a brand new thing that we're doing here. It's Level Up Project. This is our Level Up Project because in 2020, a lot of things happened that really led to, man, a lot of fear, a lot of confusion. We had the pandemic, we had the election, we had all kinds of political uprisings happen across the country and across the globe. And so, what we want to do is we want to level up. There's we want to kind of go through, and we're going to be chronicling and talking about different things that we've done during this time to level up. I mean, you think about the old Mario Brothers, right? You want to get to the next level. Well, if you want to take your game to the next level, then you're going to have to level up. You're going to have to learn all the secrets. You got to find those secret corridors and passages and tricks and hacks and all those things to move forward. So, this level up project is going to be just that. And so, I want to go through a little presentation that I put together starting for this next year. And so I'm going to share the screen and we can start going through it. Let me get this figured out here because I am part of my level up is learning technology. So hopefully, all right, you should be able to see this now. So uh, this is our level up project 2021. Where are we going next? Right. So um, I want to take a step back and think about how many of us really, really truly deeply know what happened in 2020. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened, but each one of us comes at life through a different perspective. And so I want to take a look and just kind of recap some of the stuff that happened in this last year so that we can kind of start to gauge where we're going to be going. You got to anytime you want to take a trip or journey somewhere, you got to know where you're starting, right? So a year in review, if we the first thing that I want to think about is, you know, this last year, the entire year was a presidential election, and by far it's one of the most circus like unprecedented elections in history. It ended with a one-term president fighting to the bitter end, and I think he's still fighting. I mean, it's December 18th, and he's still fighting and still kind of hanging on there, and he's hitting us with tweet storms and fraud and all kinds of things like that. So very, very interesting election outcome that has left some confusion as to the future, right? The second thing that we look back on this last year is the pandemic. I mean, this virus shocked the world. It made the world stop on its heels, right? I mean, just dead in our tracks. Not just a few areas of the economy, but the global economy was shut down. I mean, entire countries were shut down. I have one of my clients purchased a multifamily apartment complex this year, and he came in February to check it out and has not been able to go home to Spain since. He's had to rent a place in the United States until Spain opens up and he can go home. So there's been a lot of really crazy things around the pandemic, and of course the media has not helped us any with that. So you think about the division and the chaos that has come about this year. All the congressional backfighting back and forth over stimulus money and how we're going to move forward, whether or not we're going to enact the 25th Amendment and call Trump incompetent. We've got politically and racially charged movements, with Black Lives Matters, with Antifa, with Poor Boys, etc. I mean, all these different groups colliding over over differences of opinions, differences of injustices in America. All those things have happened this year. And then you stop and you think about going back to the pandemic, all the lockdowns, and do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? I mean, some people are so afraid to come out of their homes, while other people are just kind of going about business as usual. So there's been a lot of division and a lot of chaos that happened in 2020. Look at the shutdown and the recession, right? So small business is the backbone of America. And with all these shutdowns that have happened, we have seen more small businesses close their doors forever. I mean, they just won't come back. And which, along with that, is a lot of jobs that have gone with them. We saw unemployment rates just skyrocket early in the year, and we've seen those rates come back down now, getting back down into the 6 and 5% range. But pre-pandemic, we were at like 3.9% unemployment. So, 5% unemployment is still, historically, that's a good number. But when you stop and you think about where we were before the pandemic, that's still a lot of people that are out of jobs. So the shutdowns have really done a number to us psychologically and emotionally and economically. I mean, there's a lot of different things that have happened as a result of that. We've got the lower income and the service sector jobs have been virtually decimated, and the government has failed to step up. Now, they did step up in several ways early on with stimulus checks, with extended unemployment, additional money through the unemployment, with getting the banks to offer forbearance on mortgages and things like that. But at the end of the day, for the last 6 months, the government has been in a stalemate politically over how to move things forward, and they've been jockeying for position for their own political gain, and it has hurt the average people in America. So these are things that have happened this year, right? So when you go down and you start thinking about, I mean, those are some of the negative things that have happened, but look at this now. One of the cool things, I mean, a couple of cool things that have happened in 2020 is innovation. Companies like Zoom, Instacart. Nobody knew who those companies were at the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden, Zoom and Instacart are and DoorDash have become everyday staples. I mean, in business, Zoom has become everything. I mean, we see people chatting in Zoom for birthday parties, for weddings, for graduations, for business meetings, for continuing education, and conferences that we normally would have attended live are going online in this innovative structure of Zoom. And I mean, early on, Zoom couldn't even handle the volume, and it was crashing constantly. And they've had to innovate and do a lot of amazing things. Instacart, delivering groceries to people's houses, delivering food to people's homes. Amazon distribution has seen a major rise because people don't want to stand in lines at the grocery stores and at the hardware stores and at Costco and all these things. And so Amazon distribution has gone up and increased, and they've made a lot of amazing innovations. One of the really cool things that we haven't seen in decades is that we went back to space this year with privatized launching to space. I mean, SpaceX, Elon Musk, you gotta take your hat off to this guy. He put his money where his mouth is and launched and sent astronauts out to the International Space Station, and that's never happened with a privatized launch. And so SpaceX and even Jeff Bezos has a company. I don't recall the name of the company, but he's competing with SpaceX, and they're privatizing the space travel. I mean, this is amazing things that are happening. Innovation is right in our mix, right? Then you look at the reinvention that has happened in 2020. How many people started working from home? How many businesses do you know that had to shuffle around because they couldn't keep their offices open due to the pandemic? So they started sending people home, and they had to figure out how to work from home, how to get their employees to work from home. So we're seeing large scale office type buildings and businesses that are scaling down the size of their office footprint while they have employees working from home virtually. Well, that has reinvented the way people live, and they're buying real estate that will allow them to work from home. Where they've got a dedicated home office space. We've seen more and more people working towards the side hustle income to try to make ends meet. Whether it's DoorDash or Instacart or whatever it is, they've got these side hustles that are going on because maybe they lost hours, or maybe they just got tired of the rat race and they don't ever want to be caught in this again. And so we're looking for different ways. So this whole idea of reinventing ourselves has kind of emerged out of necessity and survival. So the pandemic has created a lot of negative things, but it also created some good things. There's a lot of cool things that have happened in 2020 as a result of some bad stuff happening. So as we look forward, I want to look at this, say, okay, success is a choice that we make, right? So the beauty of 2021 is that we have this opportunity to reset, right? I mean, Biden is even using the Great American Reset as part of his administrative campaign, right? We're going into the Great Reset. Now, the thing is, because this is a choice, you get to decide where you want to go. You get to decide how you want to reset your life, how you want to reset your income, how you want to reset your living, your relationships. I mean, anything that you want, you have the power within you to make choices. I mean, choices are one of the greatest things that we get in life, and we've got so much freedom to make those choices, and it's awesome. I mean, I absolutely love this. These negative things, if we choose to look at the negative, they will continue to be there. And we also have a choice not to look at that stuff. I shut the news off months ago because all I found myself doing is getting angry and frustrated and depressed about the direction of things. So I reinvented myself this year, and I sold real estate, and in March, I had an opportunity that presented itself that I wasn't expecting, but I was ready for it. And I set up a property management company, and I'm completely transforming my business going forward. I had a fantastic year in my business this year, starting a brand new business from scratch, and moving it forward. So I'm reinventing my business, and which is including multifamily investments with apartment complexes and things like that. And I'm moving into a space that I never expected to move into. And it's exciting. I mean, our property management company has seen a 126% growth in 2016 from where we started in March to now. In 8 months, we've seen 126% increase in the number of units that we're managing because there's a need out there, right? So success is a choice. You get to choose what you want to do and how you want to show up. The other option that you have, this is your other option, is you can wait for an answer. You can wait for the solution to come from somewhere else, right? You can wait for the new president to show up and maybe do something that will benefit you. You can wait for your employer to do something for you. You can wait for congressional stimulus. You can wait for the media to tell you the answers. But I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what got us here? Isn't that what got us here? We gave up our power to everybody else. We gave up our innovation. We gave up our freedoms to these outside sources, waiting for them to solve our problems. No, if you want to be successful in 2021 and beyond, you have to take your power back, and you got to take your life back, right? So where do you want to go? Let's just look at a couple of things, all right? So let's look at working from home. Man, technology has changed everything. Can you imagine? 20 years ago, working from home was like, it was only for the uber rich. So I used to watch this TV show with my parents when I was growing up. It was called Knots Landing. It was an evening drama soap opera, if you will. And there was this one character on there. His name was Greg Sumner. And the guy was like this real estate developer, and he worked from home, and he had his computer, and he had his home office, and he would trade stocks from home on his computer. Well, back in those days, back in the 80s, we didn't have a computer in our house. I mean, people didn't have computers. It was like rich people had computers at their house, but most people didn't. We didn't have the internet. That stuff didn't we didn't really start to see the internet coming on until sometime in the mid to late 90s. So the last 20 years has seen innovation that's bringing us closer. And now this year, Zoom and other platforms have connected us, connected the entire world virtually, that we can literally work from anywhere that we want if we have an internet connection. I've got partnerships with people I live in New Mexico, and I've got people in California, in Hawaii, in New York, in Chicago, in St. Louis, in Florida. I mean, I've got connections with people all over the country, and we're working on projects together virtually as if we're like, well, I mean, we're completely on the same team. It's amazing what technology has done for us, and we can work from home, or we can work virtually from our office. It's amazing. So, where do you want to go? You get to decide, right? The second thing, for your side hustle income. All right. You want to DoorDash? You want to Instacart? You want to do some online marketing? Let me tell you, Dean Graciosi, Russell Brunson, and Tony Robbins have created this thing called KBB that is amazing, and it's teaching people how to teach online, how to do online marketing, how to take your skill set and teach and train other people, and you can create an entire career out of this. So there's no excuse, right? You can get into passive income investing, which includes a lot of different things, right? You can do syndication deals, and I'm learning how to do syndication deals in apartment complexes. I mean, really large apartment complexes. I've got a friend of mine who does syndication deals in fast food restaurants. I mean, you can syndicate almost anything if you understand how that works. Go to Amazon.com and look at syndication. There's a lot of different things that you can do, right? So you just pick up a book and read. Go to your local library, and you can find books that experts have put together, and they'll teach you how to do this stuff. You can watch YouTube videos to learn how to do it. You can get into real estate investing. You can get into flipping storage lockers, Posh, Etsy. If you're kind of a crafty person, get on Posh, get on Etsy, and create your jewelry and your clothing line, whatever it is you want to do. Create a side hustle, whatever you're passionate about. You can do it. Technology has changed the game forever, and it's so cool, right? The third thing that we look at is the new presidency. Anytime we have a new presidency, that equals change, and people are so afraid of change. I'm going to tell you something. Change is usually a good thing if you have the right mindset about it, and if you embrace it, because change is typically, sometimes it's bad. I mean, sometimes we change things that we shouldn't have changed, and we learn, and sometimes we go back to things. But change is always a good thing, because the world is always moving. And if you don't want to change, and if you want to stay stagnant, study some of the big companies that are no longer around because they failed to change. Whoever thought that Sears and Roebuck would be virtually gone? Whoever thought that Kmart would be gone, or Woolworths? These were giants in the retail space, and they're virtually gone. You remember the bookstore Borders? It's gone. I mean, no. What about Blockbuster Video? Yeah, Netflix took them out, and they couldn't come on board with this whole streaming idea, and Blockbuster went away. Well, Blockbuster was the leader in home video in the 90s, and they're gone. So if you don't change with the world, you're going to get left behind. Well, look at the new presidency, right? Anytime we have a new president, it equals change. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is what it is. So with President Reagan, we were in a major recession, and interest rates for home loans were at like 18%, and we had gas wars under Carter. We had all kinds of problems going on with our economy when Reagan took over. When President Bush took over after Reagan, we had just come out of the Cold War. The Cold War had just ended, and Reagan's famous speech, Gorbachev, tear down that wall, and the wall came down, ending the Cold War. And so we had this new global economy that President Bush brought us into. And of course, we ended up in the war with Iraq under Bush's presidency. Then you see Clinton come in behind Bush. We had that war with Iraq, and we had this new economy. Well, the war with Iraq ended, kind of, and then the new economy, this new global economy, President Clinton capitalized on that in a big way. And suddenly we saw an amazing economy for 8 years under President Clinton. And then Bush comes in again. Well, Bush George W. comes in, and right after he takes office, his entire administration is blown up with the World Trade Center. And we've got this huge war on terror that then defined the rest of his presidency, right? This war on terror. And his presidency ended with the economy dropping into the Great Recession. So President Obama comes in and has to figure out how to get us out of this Great Recession, and instituted all kinds of programs and things like that. And then Trump comes in and just capitalizes on what Obama started. And the economy comes roaring forward into one of the greatest economies that we've ever seen up until the pandemic this year, where we saw a major crash. But you see the resiliency of our economy as the economy is bouncing back. Now, lower income people are kind of struggling. So Biden is coming in with this great American reset, right? And he has to, he's got to figure out how to bridge the gap between the economic differences from the very wealthy and the very poor. And we got to figure out how to get the unemployment rate for the low income people back on track, for the service sectors and things like that got hit very, very hard. Technology and real estate companies have done phenomenal. Medical has done phenomenal. But, the service sector, the airlines, the hotels, the restaurants, and tourism have really suffered this year. So Biden has a lot to work on moving forward in this new presidency. It's nothing to be afraid of. If every president comes into something some kind of a challenge they have to face, right? So the next thing you think about is like going forward, okay, where does the pandemic happen, right? So in 2020, if we've learned anything, we've learned that the media is great at creating fear. Yes, the pandemic has caused the loss of a lot of lives, and a lot of people have gotten sick. We've seen more people recover than have died. This has been a terrible, terrible virus, but at the end of the day, it's still a virus. And we can try to hide from it, and we can try to wear masks and do these things, but it's a virus. It's going to work its way through our system and through whatever's going on in the world, right? So the media and the politicians have led the way in fear, and they've terrorized American people. They have literally terrorized us with all the fear and with constantly daily and hour by hour updates to tell us how many people have died and how terrible this thing is, rather than presenting us with hope, and rather than presenting us with like clear solutions on overcoming this thing. They've terrorized, and they've used it as a weapon in the presidential debates and everything else. Just shame on them for doing this, right? It is time to rise up against fear and take back your life, take back your power, take back who you are and who God created you to be, so that we can take back our lives. Guys, we don't live in fear. Fear paralyzes us. And this pandemic is just like every other pandemic in the past. We cannot let it stop us in our tracks. We definitely have to use precautions. We have to mobilize ourselves, and we've got to rethink things, and we've got to innovate, but don't stop, right? Don't stop. Don't allow the pandemic to stop you in fear. The vaccines are coming out, and I feel like over the next 3 to 6 months, as the vaccines are being released this week, and we're starting to see more and more people being vaccinated. I think Vice President Pence and his wife were vaccinated this morning. We're going to start seeing confidence, and we're going to start seeing things open up again. So we're going to start getting back to some kind of a normal routine and normal life again going forward. Don't let this temporary virus stop you from being the great person that you are and achieving the success that you want to achieve, right? Mindset. Number 6, mindset is everything. Guys, the rich get richer. That's a mindset. And the poor get poorer. It's a mindset. You're absolutely right. The rich get richer because they see problems and they create solutions. The poor get poorer because they see problems and they wait for other people to create solutions. It's a mindset. You get to decide, are you going to be the creator of solutions, or are you going to wait for somebody else to do it for you? If you're waiting for somebody else to find the solutions to your problems, you're going to be waiting a very long time, and somebody else is going to be making a lot of money off of the solution they created for you, because now you're going to have to pay them for that solution. Does that make sense? You got to change your mindset if you want to go forward in 2021. You got to change your mindset and reset who you are and what you want to accomplish. And you got to create a vision. You got to go back to your childhood and dream for your future. Create dreams, vivid imagination, and create a vision for your life that if you're not happy with where you are, reinvent yourself. It's okay. I know your mom and dad said that there's a certain age where you just have to settle down and you got to stop dreaming. Man, hogwash. There are plenty of examples in history where people reinvented themselves after 50, 60 years, and they ended up in their 60s becoming multimillionaires when they had lived just this average posh life up to that point. There's plenty of examples of people who went through hell. They went through bankruptcies and foreclosures and divorces, and they lost everything, and they came back and had incredibly second life changes. And you can too. 2021 can be that year for you. Look, here's the deal. It's your choice. The only excuse for you not to succeed in 2021 are the excuses that you make up. They're the excuses that you make up. Let me say it again. They're the excuses that you make up. There is no excuse for you not going forward with something in your life this year. Truly successful people create success. It doesn't just happen arbitrarily. Truly successful people create opportunities where none existed. Did you hear that? They create the opportunities where none existed. You got to be creative. Your success is dependent upon your creativity. And if you're not learning new things, your creativity is going to be stifled. You'll only work on the same tools that you had yesterday that got you where you are today, right? Truly successful people see what others don't see, and they travel roads that were not there when they started. Do you understand that? I mean, think about this. I've been watching this show on Disney Plus called The Right Stuff. Now, there's an old movie with John, that was done years ago called The Right Stuff. It was a great movie, but it's all about the astronauts that NASA recruited. They recruited them in the late 50s to be the first men in space. All right, so Alan Shepard and John Glenn became the first two men. Alan Shepard became the first guy that was shot up into space, the first U.S. man. We missed it by a few months as the Russians beat us to get the first guy into space with Gory Gagarin. And Alan Shepard became the second man in space, but he was the first U.S. astronaut to go into space. And then John Glenn became the first man to orbit the Earth, right? It's a fantastic show. But see, the interesting thing about this show, it's fictional because, the writers have to make it entertaining. and there's a lot of closed door conversations and things like that. It's based on fact. It's based on real events that happened in time, but they had to create the storyline, right? So, but NASA was a brand new agency, and it nearly failed because the president didn't necessarily support NASA, and John Kennedy didn't like the idea of going into space, and all those things. But when Russia hit space, there was new life that was breathed into it, and suddenly Congress passed this stuff and said, okay, we're going to go to space. And they funded NASA, but NASA almost failed because the rockets kept blowing up, and people, there was a lot of fear that somebody was going to die, that we were going to end up creating all this hype and killing good American heroes. And so, NASA almost failed. They were brand new, but now everybody knows who NASA is, right? So they knew what they wanted, but they didn't know how to get there. And they were making a lot of mistakes along the way, but every single day they rose to new challenges, and they learned from the mistakes that they made yesterday until they finally found the correct combination and they made it happen. And now flying in space, they know a lot of things about how to get out of our orbit. They know how to build these rockets to get us out, how to get the payload out. All these things happened because people took chances, but that road did not exist until they stepped up. So in 2021, how does your moon landing look? What's it going to look like for you? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Have you thought about that? We got 2 weeks left in 2020. Sit down and think about what you want to do this year. How are you going to move your life? How are you going to move the needle in your life to take off and land on the moon? Something that everybody says is impossible. What are you going to do? What's going to be different in 2021 for you? See, you got this. Just relax. Enjoy the process. The old does not equal the new. Be new. In 2021, be new. Guys, thank you so much for spending your time with me this morning. I mean, this has been a lot of fun, and I hope this has been valuable for you. I'm learning Zoom and having a lot of fun with it, but guys, this is it's a future, right? So take hold of it. You can do this. Guys, I'm Joshua Christensen. This is your Level Up Project, episode 1, and I'm excited to start bringing this to you this year. And we're gonna move some needles. We're gonna have a blast moving forward, and I can't wait to hear from you. Follow us on Facebook. I mean, I'm on Facebook. Look up Joshua Christensen. You're gonna find my real estate company is Christensen Properties. My property management company is called EQT PM. You'll find that online, and fantastic stuff. Shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you're doing. If I can help you in real estate, that's my area of expertise. If I can help you in real estate, I'd love to. Let's talk. Let's connect. Have an outstanding day, and man, we'll see you next time. All right. Thanks.